Face your fears and doubts, and new worlds will open to you. Robert Kiyosaki. Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm an author, speaker, and success coach who helps women believe in themselves, build confidence, and take action. In 2009, my husband Ryan and I were laid off at the same time, and we moved to the Florida Keys without jobs, not knowing anyone, hardly any money, and we never even been here. But we made it. And now, not every day is sunshine and rainbows, but we're living our best lives. All along in our journey, I've always said that someday, when we get our shit together, we will help others. So each week, my intent is to be relatable and bring you tactical tips, tools, share my learnings and stories that can help inspire or transform you wherever you are in your career or general life and make an impact. I strongly believe that if I can do it, you can do it too. So what's stopping you? Real quick, before we get started, my first solo book, Confidence Mastery for Couples, is live. It is available on Amazon.com, and I have put a link to the book in the show notes. And I also want to say I just really appreciate everyone that has already bought the book and already left a review. It has been amazing to read the reviews, and the more that we can help spread the word, the more that we can help people with this type of information. So thank you in advance, and thank you if you have already bought the book. Check it out and let me know what you think. All right, now on to the podcast. Thanks. Welcome to this week's Good Karma Success Coach podcast. Thank you in advance for joining me. Wow, this past week has been an incredible learning, and I am just so appreciative of everyone out there that has bought my book, Confidence Mastery for Couples. This is my first solo book, and I just wanted to explain that if you are new to following me or listening to this podcast, my husband Ryan and I were part of a co-authored book series in the fall called Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner. So this was my first solo book, and again, if you've been following me, you know I'm going to be releasing more books. My next book will come out in June, I'm hoping for. The latest would be July, and it's called Life and Love Lessons. But it's just been this amazing experience of learning, because you learn when you do a co-authored book series, but you don't have the opportunity to get into all the nitty-gritty and all the details that you do when you decide to do it yourself. And I did this myself versus even hiring some of these publishing companies that are out there that really help behind the scenes and have some magical ways to get to certain statuses. So I wanted to do this journey myself and learn on my own so I can help others with the journey, and also just have my own books released every 3 to 4 months. And in order to do that, you kind of have to figure things out. You can't keep paying these companies to do the thing. Like you have to figure it out and learn it. So it's just been a really, really cool experience. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. And all of this goes into building your confidence. It's pretty amazing. And I love talking and speaking and writing about confidence. And I have my other podcast, Confident Conversations, where I dive more into the whole aspect of building your confidence. Today, I am going to share some of Chapter 8 from Confidence Mastery for Couples, and the title is one word, and it's one word that majority, I can say probably everyone, I'd be shocked if someone was like, no, likes, and it's money. That is the straight up one word title of Chapter 8. And it's really funny, when I started in this space and started writing and started learning about headlines and article topics and book topics and what people really like. It's funny that often I would read that the best topics to write about as far as traffic and getting eyeballs is money, health, and sex. So there were often times where I went down this rabbit hole of like, okay, Do I become niched in one of those three things? I don't feel called to be a sex writer. I can easily write about money as just part of, life and building your confidence. And we all have money lessons and things that we can share. And health, I wouldn't really say I'm called to write about health either. However, I have lost a significant amount of weight and I do coach on that. But in general, I'm not like a health expert. I would never say I'm a health expert. I'm definitely, no, I'm not a health expert. And I just don't feel called to that. So it was funny that when I wrote this chapter, I left even a lot on the table, which means that I will be writing a book about money in the future. It will either be the end of this year or into 2022. But for the time being, I'm going to share from the chapter that I wrote in Confidence Mastery for Couples. So the opening quote from this podcast is actually in the book. That is how I opened this chapter. So here we go. The topic of money can stop you in your tracks, right? Why is that? And where would we be without talking about money in a book about couples and relationships? Before we dive into this chapter, here are the reflection questions. Number 1, wealth. Impossible or possible? And number 2, why do you feel that way? For some couples, it's the elephant in the room. For some couples, the male may handle it all and the female knows nothing. That's how I grew up. In our world, I handle it all because Ryan sucks at it. But what's laughable sometimes is that I'm not great at it either. I don't suck, but I'm no financial planner. Yeah, I put it out there. He sucks at it. I remember when we first got together. Now, keep in mind, we got married quickly. We dated and lived together for slightly over a year. I knew what he made for a salary, so that was on the table. We split things starting out, and he was generous with paying for our dates. But when we got together, got married, and started moving forward, I couldn't understand why his phone was ringing all the time. His phone was ringing non-stop. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Thoughts were racing through my mind. Who is calling him? Why is he not answering? Is it a girl? Is he cheating? Is he wanted for something bad? He made a decent salary, better than the statistical average. And then there was my salary. Oh my God, it's creditors. Why are creditors calling him? We finally had to sit down and have a heart-to-heart. Are you ready for this? This system he created, pay when they call, is how he managed his bills. When he remembered. Yep. When he remembered. And then the company would get paid for several months at a time, which would take up his whole paycheck. So for example, he would forget or choose to not pay his car loan. And then when he finally remembered or picked up the phone from the company, he would pay for all the months he missed. He would pay the late charges, the finance fees, and then what was due. His finance management system was a mess, let alone the damage this financial system had done to his credit score. If someone could have come and picked me off the floor that day, they would have seen I was 5 shades of white. Have you ever heard of such financial skills? I'm no financial planner expert by any means. I have had my share of financial experiences, but this was an interesting way to manage money. And that's my nice way of putting things. What did we do? It was one of the many come to Jesus moments and was very stressful, but necessary to figure it out. I took over. Ends up, Ryan didn't like managing money. He doesn't to this day, which is a bit concerning to me, but we deal with it. It took me a few months to get caught up on the bills, consolidate insurance, our phones, and many expenses which were unnecessary, and we were paying too much for separately. It was a good exercise, I guess, and one we laugh about now, but at the time, it was stressful, shocking, and overwhelming. Why don't couples discuss finances? Why is it uncomfortable? We all get a little eye-rolly when we blame it on our parents, but there is truth in that. As Gen Xers, we were told by our baby boomer parents not to talk about money, that it was none of my business. I think my mom said none of my business so many times to me that I can still hear her voice in my head. Not talking about money with your children does damage truth. Layer on the fact that we don't learn about money in school. I even think about how my grandfather never took time with my mom or me to help us learn. He was sitting on my grandfather's nice allotment of finances that he inherited being married to my grandmother, doing a great job managing it, and never taught us. Can I change any of this? No, obviously not, and I don't have ill wishes or bad energy towards any of my family, but it's fascinating to learn from, and even more important, crucial to understand why your behavior is such so that you can learn, grow, and move forward. Circling back to my husband, who is of the same generation as well as his parents, they didn't discuss any financials either, so the pattern is obvious. After a few months, we had our act together as far as being organized with our finances. However, we were living the Vida Loca in downtown Minneapolis. When I stopped to think that we were easily spending $300 or more a weekend on food and drinks, it's a bit much. It could have even been more. Those were just the weekends that I felt more aware. We lived downtown and took full advantage of the scene. It would have been nice to be more responsible when I look back, but I cannot change that. A lot of people beat themselves up for the choices they have made financially. This includes debt, about which I shifted my mindset a long time ago to refer to as leveraged income. Shifting your thoughts, words, and feelings around debt cannot be only liberating but life-changing as your feelings affect the law of attraction. Money always flows to me is one of the easiest and most fun affirmations to say. Try it. In our minds, we started to get ready to move. The goal was for me to find a job that moved us somewhere south, preferably Florida. The company would pay for the relocation, a salary, and a signing bonus. But that wasn't working out as planned, and we finally made the decision to move. We had nothing. We had our weekly $500 Minnesota unemployment and some money we borrowed, which we've paid all back. But that was it. $500 is nice for unemployment, but it doesn't go as far as one would hope. I cut back on all expenses. Everything I could think of got the axe. We switched to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and happy hour beers only. No fancy dinners, vacations, clothes, or spending that could not be considered building our businesses towards the future. And that is a taste of one of the chapters, the money chapter. There are 14 chapters total, and it has been really amazing to read the reviews on Amazon. So I highly recommend to go and read the reviews. You will see all the things that people have really pulled out. It's pretty amazing. The book is not just for couples. I love that. I've mentioned that before in Facebook Lives. And all my stories are just very relatable and transparent. And I really want people to feel what we have been through and really resonate with that so they can apply various tips, tools that I have also included in the book and make some changes and grow and learn and develop. And the change starts with you. And that's a huge piece of the book too. The change starts with you. You cannot change other people. So when you learn some of these tips and tools and start to have some aha moments of like, oh my gosh, I do that too, or I do something similar, then that is when the change can also start to happen. But you have to practice and you have to make it habits and you have to do the work. Unfortunately, yes, you have to do the work. Osmosis just doesn't happen through the book. I'm not that magical. I'm kind of magical, but not that magical. So anyhow, I just really appreciate everyone who's already read the book, already reviewed it. Thank you in advance. If you go ahead and purchase it, that is fantastic. Audible is coming out soon. And I'm also very excited for that because obviously I'm into Audible, being that I've been a podcaster for almost 2 years. I went through my podcasts And April 1st, 2019 is when I launched. So just really exciting that is coming up on a 2-year anniversary, because it takes a lot of discipline to do a podcast. That's why most people don't make it past like episode 7. I think that's what the statistics are. Sometimes it's longer. But there were so many people that started podcasts during COVID, and they have fallen off the podcast map. So they don't even do their podcast anymore, which is just kind of a fact of life, right? Things happen and things change. So anyhow, I'm going to wrap this episode up. My link to goodkarmasuccesscoach.com is in the show notes. When you sign up for the free Believe and Take Action Daily Guide, you are also on the Good Karma Confidence inspirational email list, which I am loving. That email comes out on Mondays, and I will always make announcements there first. So check that out. And that website in general houses both podcasts, blogs, and more stuff that I'm going to be doing. So that website gets a workout. My other podcast, as I mentioned earlier, is called Confident Conversations. And I hope you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. It's pretty amazing out there, and everyone in the social media world, I'm sure, can totally agree. Oh, even Clubhouse, right? Even Clubhouse. So check all that out. So thank you. Until next time, be grateful, be curious, always be learning, and you know what? Have some fun too. Have a great week. Thanks.